artificial intelligence will increase human productivity 100-fold. This will cause the demand for Bitcoin to explode. AI will buy Bitcoin. Strong statements here from Michael Saylor. We are looking at the exact explanations that Michael Saylor provides here. And I know now all the bears will come again and say, yes, the Bitcoin price is just moving sideways. You really have to see this. In the long term, the vision that Michael Saylor shares is not a short-term vision on a daily basis or something like that, but he sees it. In the long term, I've told you many times before, AI plus Bitcoin is the super combination that will change everything we know so far. If you want to tenfold your money, then buy Bitcoin now. If you want to multiply your money by 100, buy Bitcoin with other people's money. And if you want to thousandfold your money, then buy Bitcoin with other people's money and leverage your Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is so intense that he throws this. People. And the thousandfold increase could be multiplied even further if we add artificial intelligence, AI, whatever you want to call it, into the mix. And that's what we're going to look at now. As I said, these are not my statements, but the statements of Michael Saylor. I'm also not saying that you should do this. Leverage your money, then leverage the Bitcoin you have. Use other people's money, whatever. You have to know for yourself what to do with your money. This is not investment advice or anything like that. But if Michael Saylor's vision comes true, then something massive is coming our way. And Michael Saylor is not the only one. I've also made a similar video about Elon Musk, who also says artificial intelligence will change everything in the next 4 years. Everything that can somehow be digitized will be replaced by artificial intelligence. We will experience such an increase in prosperity. And then it's interesting. What is still scarce and what is still rare in the world? And not many things will be left. Bitcoin is the absolute limit here. But check it out. Michael Saylor, at his best.
Digital capital, Bitcoin, homogeneous. You know, a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. And what you're going to see is companies are going to create extraordinary products, extraordinary services. There's going to be 100x increase in productivity. There's going to be 100x increase in everything. We're going to produce more of everything in every way that everybody can imagine. And if you're a corporation, if you're a private actor, if you're a capitalist, what are you going to do with that capital? You're going to roll it into Bitcoin. The AIs are going to want to buy the Bitcoin.
So now pay very close attention. The productivity of humanity here is going to explode. That means all of a sudden, it will be easier to access food because there will be some robots controlled by AI and whatever, maybe harvesting coconuts or whatever. That might still be a bad example, but for instance, building houses will be easier with AI. There are so many possibilities like self-driving taxis. Things will be made more efficient, whether it's in legislation or in checking documents, or perhaps even the way we learn might change. That means so many things. Everything that can somehow be made more efficient through digitalization will be digitalized, improved, and so on. But that also means that a lot of jobs will disappear. Certain business models will be broken, will be disrupted, while other business models will emerge again. We also see through models like DeepSeek and others that entire business sectors are being cleared out. Suddenly, it's possible to run some AI machinery or something like that at almost zero cost, whereas it used to cost thousands of dollars. What used to cost $1,000 to produce might only cost a company $1, $2, or $3 in the future. Then jobs are lost and so on. And this leads to massive, intense disruption. And there are also extremely significant profits being made here. That means, on one hand, there are a lot of problems, or rather, there's a lot of disruption. I think that's the better word, because a lot of things are collapsing. A lot of new things are emerging. This means a lot of value creation is happening here, and according to Michael Saylor, all this value creation will flow into Bitcoin, because where else would you put it? If you put it into something else, for example, let's just say use another raw material. Let's take steel or silver or whatever. It will also become easier to mine such things with AI. Of course, not immediately. Of course, that also takes quite a long time. I mean, the ultimate vision would be to eventually mine gold in space or something at nearly zero cost. I mean, that's not going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. Elon Musk even says it could happen in the next 30 to 50 years. I might assume it will take 100 years or so, but eventually it will also become easier to mine. And Bitcoin is limited here, which is why more and more people will make the move to Bitcoin. That's the big thing. For example, there are currently the Magnificent Seven, and there are actually people who claim that the business models of the Magnificent Seven could indeed be threatened by AI, and you simply lose certain margins. These losses in margins could be offset by implementing a Bitcoin strategy. Michael Saylor has already demonstrated this. Others could follow suit, and those who don't do it might either lose their jobs or see their company essentially go under. And that's why many people say, okay, accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible now, so that if the AI boom comes and I lose my job, what I have parked in Bitcoin and what I theoretically lose in salary can be gained on top, because your Bitcoin will explode even more, as all the value creation that might not go into salaries anymore will flow into Bitcoin, and you'll benefit indirectly from this Bitcoin pump. That means you can already hedge against AI, so to speak. So if you're afraid of losing your job, you simply buy Bitcoin, because that's where the value creation will flow. That's where the cash flow will go, which might be saved on employee salaries. I mean, there's always a big fear on your side that if an industry disappears, jobs will emerge elsewhere. You just have to be a bit flexible. And the first thing is that productivity increases and the value creation flows into Bitcoin. And the second thing, which is even more significant, is that AI will use Bitcoin. And I've mentioned this several times in videos. An AI is simply not a person that can self-authenticate, do KYC, or anything like that. If you have a bank account, you always need an ID, you need personal details, you need a company or something where you can do KYC. For Bitcoin, you don't need KYC. This can also be used decent rally. An AI operates in a decentralized manner. An AI can also, let's say, or rather, an AI operates in a decentralized way, but an AI relies on decentralization. That's how it should be put. An AI isn't stupid either. Knows that it makes more sense to rely on Bitcoin here. Because if I have an autonomous taxi, and then my banking infrastructure doesn't work on the weekend or something like that, I would naturally prefer to rely on Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. We already have the first AI agents that have actually made Bitcoin transactions. And in the future, there will be entire companies represented as AI agents. So essentially fully autonomous. AI constructs or something like that. The AI agent topic is a whole rabbit hole in itself. And then AI agents become AIJE. AI agents, very difficult to pronounce. AI agents will communicate with AI agents, transferring values back and forth. They will communicate again with other AI products. And that will then be a communication with some humans. That means we will have such a merging. And on one hand, it brings many, many opportunities, but on the other hand, it also brings dangers, because theoretically, we could lose our connection to nature if we become robotic humans or something like that. Many people also warn that there is a kind of robotification of humans. I mean, I always see it this way. Technology can be used positively or negatively. We can create the coolest things from AI and Bitcoin, but it can also lead to us becoming slaves to technology. That means we always have to bring it into the right balance. That means what is happening now might not be so easy for many people to digest. You really have to go out into nature. From time to time, ground yourself, maybe in the forest, or by the sea, or whatever. I'm always barefoot here all the time, for example. That's a big tip I can give, especially if you do a lot of digital work, like social media, computers, and so on. I always say, be barefoot, be grounded, then you won't absorb the electromagnetic smog so crazily. At least, that's my experience. You can actually even test it. I even did a test once. You can check that. When you're standing with your feet on the ground, you can actually measure that the electromagnetic fields don't have as strong an impact on you as when you're isolated and not with your feet on the ground, because the ground has some kind of grounding ability. It's not explained correctly from a physics standpoint, but you can test it for yourselves. Try walking barefoot a lot, and then use a lot of electronics, and then stop doing that and isolate everything. Never be in contact with the earth. Never be in contact with nature. Don't be outside, but always stay indoors, and you will definitely notice a difference. When you're outside, you'll find that all the electronics, and if you're grounded, don't affect you as much. I mean, some would say it doesn't affect them anyway, but if you develop a certain sensitivity, I would definitely say you can notice a difference.
Companies are going to buy the Bitcoin. The demand is going to be for the most scarce, desirable, liquid, fungible capital asset. And so the explosion of productivity with digital property and digital intelligence and digital labor will create an explosion in demand for digital capital. And I think all of those are just mutually beneficial trends. And if you're a company, you just want to figure out how your shareholders benefit, how your customers benefit, how your employees benefit from this trend.
This will make Bitcoin explode, and it will simply change everything. And now the only question is, how can you prepare as a company? How can you prepare as an individual? How can you prepare as a family? How can you prepare as a state? That means those who are not well prepared here will be completely lost. And we've seen this a few times before with the Industrial Revolution and so on. Industrialization and blah, 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 where there were other major inventions, steam engines, and whatever else there was. A lot of people were left behind, but people who positioned themselves smartly benefited disproportionately. And that's just a really, really big thing. You don't have to go along with every little thing in life. But if you can see the big trends, if you can anticipate maybe 1 or 2 trends in your life or 3 trends, and bet on the right horse, then that's probably all you need to do in your life. You probably only need to make 2 or 3 trades in your life, or maybe even just 1 trade, and that could already ensure that you achieve complete financial independence. And what we can clearly anticipate now is that the AI boom is coming, and the Bitcoin boom is coming, and we need to combine these, and everyone has to draw their own conclusions from it. I mean, Michael Saylor concludes to put everything possible with leverage and so on into Bitcoin. You can also draw a different conclusion. You can also say, okay, just Bitcoin without leverage and so on, that's enough for me. But simply ignoring it and then saying, damn, sorry, missed out on AI, missed out on Bitcoin and so on. And then waking up, sorry, now I've also lost my job. I mean, that's not really a good alternative in my opinion. We really have a massive future coming our way, or rather, the future is an illusion, but we have massive things happening right now in the present that will create an intense future. And you just have to ask yourself now, okay, what do I do? How do I allocate my time? Maybe also, if I'm currently job hunting, or where do I look? Okay, where are there new fields? Where can I, for example, create a company? And so on. Something that will become very, very interesting is the single entrepreneur stuff. Naval, some of you might know him, he also made the statement that I'm about to tell you. And Elon Musk also mentioned it again. I've heard it from him too, that soon there will be the first single entrepreneur $1 trillion company, meaning a company with a market capitalization over $1 trillion, where essentially just one person is driving the company forward because instead of employees, they have a bunch of AIs and AI agents and whatever. And that's very, very interesting. I mean, yes, Naval also said back in 2013 that states will buy Bitcoin. Now there is a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And now he's saying, okay, single entrepreneurs will essentially build such incredible companies. And that means, of course, that you can set everything up much, much more efficiently. And then, as Michael Saylor says, it's obvious, either you focus on AI if your job or business case isn't AI resistant, or you simply buy Bitcoin and just ride the gains. And now you simply have the choice. And if you, well, see it differently, then feel free to write it in the comments below, because it's certainly a controversial topic. Feel free to write it in the comments below. Also, feel free to write in the comments below if you see it as Buddhist as Michael Saylor does. If you still want to buy Bitcoin, if you're still looking for a platform to simply and securely buy Bitcoin, I'll put a link below to 21 Bitcoin. It's really great. I recommend it again and again. I also keep getting great feedback. Check it out. With the code BITCOINODL, you can get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin. Guys, see you. Peace out.